Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Elise. Thank you for coming to my talk. Today I'll be speaking about how to win the SEO game with split testing. A few words about me. So as you might hear, I'm actually French, as you mentioned, but I live in London, and actually a lot of my friends here say that I'm a British at heart. And this might be because of my terrible taste in British telly. I also love music festivals, love the tattoo, and I'm also a bit basic, meaning I love autumn, I love Gilmore Girls, and I love Taylor Swift, which I'm ripping here. Oh, some Swifties in the room. All right, and here's Trendline. So if you came to Brighton SEO by train, you might have used our app. And if you don't know about us, so we sell tickets on behalf of more than 270 trend and coach company in the UK, but also in Europe, and to customers over 40 countries in the world. And to give you a small idea of the scale of our company, our platform actually hosts more than 128 million visits per month. So that's app and website. It's quite a big app. What I want you to learn today, I want you to really understand that testing is not just reserved for developers. So if you're not an engineer, you can totally take on split testing, and you'll understand why in a few slides. I also want you to understand the impact of small changes at scale and the importance of testing directly in the SERPs, and today more than ever. So let's start. What exactly is split testing? And let me start with quite a Pinterest quote. I told you I was quite basic. Sometimes it's the little things that count the most. Why? It's because no one wants to commit to big site-wide changes that could potentially hurt your performance or do nothing. So how do we go around that? With split testing. With split testing, we can make a small change to an SEO element on the part of our site, track how it's doing, and then decide to release at scale or not. And talking about small change with big impact, this is actually a test that we've done at Trendline, and it's probably one of our biggest wins that we ever had. We wanted to see if by adding the price in our schema markup here, it would increase our click-through rate. And it did. The click-through rate of our variant here was 63% higher than our control. And the best thing about this, by deploying this small change to all our pages at scale, it can bring us extra click and lots of extra cash. So not bad. But you're going to say, is this similar to a user A/B testing? Well, not quite. With A/B testing or user A/B testing, users are presented with two different versions of the same page. Then the conversion rate of each version is then compared to see which one is the winner. Now, with this type of test, and you might know this, you will need the support from either your UX team or your CRO team, and you certainly need the help of your developers to launch the test. Plus, it's worth mentioning that the Google bots will not see the change that you do on your variant page. So with split testing, we actually take the same category of pages, we divide it into two groups, and we make a change to an SEO element. And then we can track it and see the impact it has on a key metric, such as click-through rate, average ranks, organic traffic. And the best thing about this is that we can actually do this ourselves from our CMS. But then you're going to say, well, why not just do a pre-post test then? Okay, well, let's try this. So let's say that you decide to do a big change to your site and you publish it here. But then you realize that the traffic starts to fall down, and you think, uh-oh. So you decide to dig a little bit more. But then you realize that demand actually fell here, and this was Christmas. So there are just too many factors to trust the results of a pre-post test analysis. So I know we all say it depends, but I don't want to hear it anymore. Test it instead. So why did we start to split test at Trendline? Reason number one, and this little guy here is probably all of us when we're hit with a Google algo update. So as you know, and we've been talking about it all morning, Google are launching multiple changes to the algorithm pretty much every day at this point. They're also launching new Google products, and they're launching more frequently. Or they just decide to remove some rich snippets. I'm thinking about the FAQs, for example. So this ever-changing landscape is becoming really, really challenging to optimize your real estate at the top of the SERPs. And talking about changes, this is what we used to see just a few months ago. So if you had some structured data in your page, you could see it appear in a search result. And some of it doesn't appear anymore. The FAQs are not here anymore. And now, what we are seeing, so this is Google Trends. We saw an example of Google Flights earlier, so this is the response for the trains. Also occupies top of the SERPs. The Carousel transport website, which aggregates some competitors, some aggregators, also at the top of the SERPs. And I could not mention AI Overview, which takes the top position here, and then we have a SERP with Google Trends and then the PAs. So as our friend Charlie XCX says, it is getting very confusing. So, sorry. Because this is getting so confusing, it is changing at a pace more frequently than ever. It is crucial to test different meta titles and different structured data, for example. And by doing split testing, you are going after a strategy that goes after strong return on investment instead of reacting to stressful changes constantly. Reason number two is to get ahead of your competitors. And I have a bit of a stat for you here. So that was from SEMrush, and it said that only 60% of companies with more than 100 employees actually test their SEO strategy before releasing at scale. And this means that 40% of companies just do changes without testing anything. And so by doing split testing, by doing SEO testing, you can get ahead of those competitors and you can understand your SERPs before your competitors do. And by keeping the momentum going, you can start to outrank them. Reason number three is to evidence SEO improvement to your stakeholders. And as SEOs, we all know this. It can be really challenging to prove SEO improvement to your business. And this is because of the uncertainty of any SEO campaign or any SEO site-wide changes, because it can hurt your visibility, then you can have a drop in click-through rate, and then impact your organic traffic. So nobody has time or money for this. So with split testing, we are literally taking our SEO strategy just like a scientific experiment. And so just like scientists, we hypothesize our ideas, we test it, we monitor it, and then we decide to release at scale from the data that we're seeing. So even with inconclusive tests, you can transform it into a data-proven story, and you can bring this to your stakeholders, whether it's a win or a lose. So the more you share data with your business, the more buy-in you will get for future SEO experiments. Plus, as a bonus, if you work with a brand, for example, and they want to test a new message or new proof points, it's always a good idea to test it directly in the SERPs, because you could see firsthand if your customers are reacting to it. So it's always good to share that data with them as well. So how does it work? And this is a test that we done previously at Trendline. So as I said, you take a category of pages, and those pages have to have a similar performance in terms of impression, clicks, click-through rates, and average position. And then we decide to make a small change to an SEO element. So here it can be in the meta title. And then we can see the impact it has on, for example, click-through rate. If the click-through rate of your variant group is higher, then you can deploy at scale. And here's an hypothesis that we tested previously. So we wanted to see if by adding prices to our meta titles, it would improve the click-through rate to our root pages. And here's the test. So control, as you can see, just cheap trains from Manchester to London, and then the variant here with the price. And guess which one was the winner? Obviously, the variant with the price. But it's not always about the win. We also had a few learnings along the way. We like to call them learnings and not inconclusive tests. For the US, we wanted to see if by adding in our titles that customers can book in advance, if it would improve the click-through rate. And for this one, the variant click-through rate was actually lower than our control. So imagine if we would have rolled this at scale, it would have been a disaster for our traffic. But because it's a split test, we could just roll back to our control version. Some best practices now. So to run test it, we really recommend that you test on pages which share the same template. And by this, I mean it will be easier to get a significant result if you test on, for example, product pages or blog articles which have the same layout. Basically, they have to be able to, so you compare apples with apples. Pretty simple. We also recommend that you use pages in your control and in your variant group with a stable and a significant amount of traffic. And this is, again, to get a statistical significant results. And also, you want to ensure that all your pages in your two groups have a same aggregated amount of impressions, clicks, average position, and click-through rate. Plus, if you work in a seasonal industry, such as travel industry like Trendline, it's always better to use URLs that make sense for the season. So for example, we're going into Christmas now. We'll be using root pages, this is where we do our test, that receive more impressions for the Christmas season rather than the summer ones. So what exactly can we test? So schema markups, as we saw in one of the examples, meta titles, meta descriptions as well, breadcrumbs, and alt tags. Basically, any small change that can then be released at scale. Some handy tips before we jump into our test. So at Trendline, we like to run ideation sessions within the team, especially for split testing. We like to run these sessions at least twice per year, and for these, we do this because not only to get a solid backlog of test ideas, but it's also to keep the team engaged with the experiments. And so to this session, we look at user research that we have available. We also look at our competitors. And we also look at if we had other tests that was a previous win in another market. We also had to get really good at formulating hypotheses. Basically, we don't go into a test just because. So having a clear idea of your formulation and your hypothesis will help you having a clear goal at the end of your test. Once we have all our test ideas in place, we plot them into a roadmap. And to do this, we look at what is the most important for our customers, so what we will be able to test first. And we also look at other channels. For example, if PPC tested an ad copy that was a win or inconclusive for them, we try to see how it goes with SEO. And in our roadmap, we put, when we launch our test, we put the analysis phase, and if we have a win, we put the date when it was rolled out. And now, how do we identify URLs to use in our test? So this is depending on the size of your business. So you'll be lucky enough to have a data science team that can help you select those URLs. But if not, don't worry, you can use the Search Console or you can use a third-party tool like Botify, for example, that can help you choose URLs with a similar amount of impression, clicks, etc. And this is my last tip for you, and probably the most important one. You have to have a scalable template that your engineers can use. And this is because with releasing to all your pages, and this has to be a significant amount, this is where you will see the true impact of split testing. Because if you have a win, but you can only release it to, let's say, 15 pages, you will probably not see the impact of extra revenue, for example. So once you have a win, for example, on your meta title, it's always super useful to have a template with all your meta titles for that category of pages that your devs can then use and then release at scale. And now for a step-by-step to wrap up. So step number 1, talk to your data science team, look at Search Console, look at Botify, whatever can help you get those URLs. Then choose your elements you'd like to test. Is it a meta title? Is it a schema markup? Then launch your test. What's the outcome after, I would say, depending on the traffic that you receive, between 2 and 3 weeks. And then if your test is significant, then it's time to see if the variant is a win, you can scale it. If the control is winning, then you can iterate for a future test. And then basically you just go back to your step number 1. It is very important that you keep the momentum going so you understand your SERPs better. And how do we monitor, analyze, and how do we roll out? So first thing, we have created a data dashboard. We've done this on Tableau, and I believe there's a talk right now on Tableau, which I'm really gutted I can't see because it's a brilliant tool to use. But basically, this helps us see, to keep track of performance during our testing phase. So then we can see how our control and how our variants are performing in terms of impression and click-through rate, clicks, etc. And this also helps us at the end of the testing phase see if there is a spike in impressions, for example, on a day, or click-through rate dropped. It's probably because there was an event that was external to our own industry. So, for example, sometimes in the train industry, we are sometimes impacted by sporting events. So usually when that happens, don't hesitate to remove 1 day of data. So that's why it's important to have at least 15 to 3 weeks of tests. If you're happy with your data set, you can put it in an A/B test calculator just to see if your test is significant. And for this, it's an absolutely free tool that we use that was recommended by our data science team. I can totally give you the link later if you come and ask. But basically, we put our impression and our clicks into this tool, and that helps us, and that tells us if the test is significant. If the test has reached significance, it's time to analyze the findings. So, your variant winning, release at scale. Your control winning, iterate, or move on to another test. And this is to give you a visual view of what it looks like when we have a win. So if we have a positive result, but our test is still not significant, we keep on testing for a few days until the test reaches statistical significance. If we have a significant result and a positive variant, then it's time to roll out. If our control is higher, then we iterate the test, or we close it and we move on to another test. And that's basically us at Trendline when we do our speed testing over and over again, and I hope it inspires you to try it for your business. Thank you.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.